Welcome to this special election coverage edition of Talking Points. I'm Tegan Brown.
And I'm Mariah Humiston. Polls for the Syracuse mayoral race are closing shortly. We have 3 Citrus TV reporters at each of the 3 candidates' watch parties. We start our coverage this evening with Citrus TV reporter Ricky Sayer, who's at Ben Walsh's watch party. Ricky?
Thanks. People are feeling pretty good here at Mayor Walsh's election night watch party. There's music playing, people are drinking, others are eating. They're all waiting to see Mayor Ben Walsh, who'll be here later tonight, but he's not coming, we're told, until we have a result. Right now, it is a waiting game as results. We wait for them to come in. By last check, just about 2% of results were in for this race, so obviously far too early to call. We spoke with Greg Lowe, the mayor's chief policy officer. He said that the campaign is optimistic, but there is also some caution there as they want to make sure that this race is called before they make an announcement and Mayor Walsh is able to show up. We've also been speaking to some people in the room here. They're a little bit more confident that Mayor Walsh will take home the victory in this race over his opponent. We'll make sure to keep you updated from here at Mayor Walsh's election watch party here at the downtown Syracuse Marriott. I also want to mention that we spoke with Dustin Zarni, the Democratic Election Commissioner. He did tell us that he believes that we are going to get a result tonight, and that's because there are not many absentee ballots. But Lowe believes that that result might not come for another hour. As I said before, we'll make sure to keep you updated. Reporting from the Marriott in downtown Syracuse, Ricky Sayer, Citrus TV News.
Thank you, Ricky. We are now joined by Citrus TV reporter Nicole Aponte, who is at Khalid Bey's watch party. Nicole, what is going on over at Maxwell's in downtown Syracuse?
Hey, thanks guys. The polls are closed, but guess what's open? That's Maxwell's for Khalid Bey's watch party. You can see right behind me, all the people are really enjoying their time here. They're eating food, listening to music, and just socializing with the community around them. This is something that COVID-19 really prohibited last year, but now they're able to come back together in person and really experience what a watch party should be like on election night. Now, if Khalid Bey does win the election, he would make history, but he's already made history already. He is the first African-American mayoral candidate to get major party backing in Syracuse. And if he were to win, he would be the first African-American mayor right here in Syracuse. And he's also grown up in Syracuse too. He's a South Side native, which really the people here that we spoke to today, they want to see that change in our community. From what we heard from Syracuse University law professors, they are hopeful to see a mayoral candidate switch where the Democrats can really take over the incumbent right now. But that's all I have for you right now at Maxwell's. Really, people are enjoying their time here, and they're just hopeful to see if they will win, along with other Onondaga County legislators. Reporting live from Maxwell's, Nicole Ponte, Citrus TV News. Be sure to stay tuned for our 11:30 special for Talking Points.
Thanks, Nicole. We are now joined by Talking Points reporter John PERIK, who is at Janet Burman's watch party. John, what is going on over on the east side of Syracuse?
Are we close?
Yeah, Guys, good evening. I am here in East Syracuse at Janet Burman's watch party, and I'm joined right now alongside the Republican mayoral candidate. Now, Mrs. Burman, what have you heard so far today? I know unofficial results are coming in at the moment. What have you heard?
Well, I think the biggest news is how great the turnout is in this election. It defies history when we usually have a much lower turnout in these odd years. There are a lot of voters who don't get engaged at the local level, and they turn out for federal elections. And that is one area we've been pushing this year and today, specifically in our Get Out the Vote effort, to get people who don't normally vote during the odd years to come out and vote today, and they seem to be getting the message.
Now, it's been over 20 years since Syracuse last had a Republican as their mayor. So just coming into this whole entire race, what have your expectations been?
Well, I think I've remained realistic in understanding that, it's a long shot that I could be elected. However, the fact that there are three candidates certainly increased the probability of a Republican being elected. The fact that the issue of primary concern to voters this time is public safety, and I've been consistent since my campaign started that will be my first priority. So that's something that transcends party lines. Everybody's concerned about our public safety.
Now, who's here tonight at your watch party?
Well, some of my fellow Republican candidates are here. Woody Carroll, running for Common Council president. Several of our school board candidates are here. Gia Palermo, Michael Hunter, Susan McCormick, and you'll see we had a couple of the county legislature candidates here earlier. They've gone off to their own thing, so to speak, for watching the results now. And then, members of the committee who work every year helping candidates get on the ballot, getting the signatures, and who volunteer on campaigns, and then some new people, high school seniors who interned on my campaign this year. We got everybody here.
Well, Janet Burman, thank you for your time tonight, and I will have continued coverage here live at Janet Burman's watch party as the night goes on. Reporting live from East Syracuse, I'm John PERIK, Citrus TV News.
Thank you, John. We also have the latest results from New Jersey. Right now, the gubernatorial race is too close to call. Vote tallies between Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli and incumbent Democrat Governor Phil Murphy are relatively close in count. Where is Ciattarelli getting the most votes, and where is he stealing these votes from? I'm actually joined here by Talking Points analyst Olivia Maniscalco. So, Olivia, where is he getting the most votes, and where is he stealing votes from Murphy?
Yeah, so Ciattarelli is getting a lot of votes from Central Jersey, which during the election in 2020, actually more of these counties voted blue rather than red. So he's getting, for example, he is leading in Ocean County, Monmouth County, Hunterdon he has. Mercer's a lot closer than it was in the 2020 election. So a lot of the votes that Murphy thought he was going to get from Central Jersey are going towards Ciattarelli.
And now Ciattarelli is leading, and more than 40% of the votes are being reported now. Where is this focus now shifting, Olivia?
Yeah, so now we're looking mostly at northern and southern Jersey. Now, northern Jersey mostly votes blue, except Sussex County, which is top left. They usually vote red, so they're going to be voting towards Ciattarelli. But some of those other counties, such as Essex, Passaic, Union, they're all very Democratic heavy. So those will most likely go towards Murphy. But you never know what to expect in this race. Also in southern Jersey, that they do mostly vote red, so they will most likely keep voting for Ciattarelli, although they still have a lot of votes to count in those two parts of Jersey.
Olivia, our viewers just saw on the screen how close this election is. If Governor Murphy wants to win, where does he need to get these votes?
I mean, he's going to want to really hope that the counties that he depends on, like I just mentioned, in northern Jersey, like Essex, Passaic, and Union, he's going to want to hope that they all continue voting blue. He's going to want to hope for some upsets in southern Jersey. I mean, it's interesting because many people think that the main reason why Ciattarelli is getting many votes that he wasn't expected to get is because of taxes in New Jersey. Now, property taxes are the highest in the country, and Murphy has no intention of lowering them. He says that those taxes are going towards things like healthcare, the best public education in the country. So that is why people are most likely voting Ciattarelli, because he wants to lower these taxes.
And Olivia, we'll have more updates to come from this election later on this evening. Thank you so much. The Associated Press is projecting that Minneapolis voters have rejected getting rid of the city's police department. Now, Tegan, this was very big. Last year we saw in Minneapolis, in light of the George Floyd movements, many protests that were sparking, and this idea of defunding the police. So this is coming as a shock to many, but it is being reported about this vote now.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, that George Floyd, the movement that followed his death, created such an uproar about the removal of the police department, specifically in Minneapolis, and replacing it with peace officers, which is what was being voted on today. But, it is being projected that vote is going to be no.
Absolutely. And this is not a conversation we're just seeing in Minneapolis, but also a conversation that we're seeing across the country in terms of defunding, abolishing, and police reform.
Now, Olivia, you know, what else do you think we're going to see in this vote? Do you think we'll see any change at all?
I mean, I don't know. I think the events that happened last summer and throughout the year, many people were very passionate about how they wanted to defund the police or change the police department. So these votes could change as more come in, but as we're seeing a trend towards keeping the police how it is, I don't know. It's too early to call.
Absolutely, but we will keep you updated on everything that you need to know. And actually, we are now going back to the Virginia gubernatorial election. Terry McAuliffe is behind at about 47.3%. Glenn Youngkin leading with 52%. 87% of the votes are still being reported, Mariah, but it's still too close to call.
It is too close to call, Tegan, and I want to go back to the debate that these two had back in late September, specifically their campaigns focusing on parents and parents in schools. Now, McAuliffe was focusing specifically not so much on parenting in schools, but Youngkin had said that parents should have more influence on what books are being chosen and what the educational program is being told in Virginia for their children. Now, this is looking nationwide when we examine critical race theory and when we're also talking about transgender students' rights in schools. Youngkin has a very different approach to this that McAuliffe does, who hasn't really addressed it in his campaign, and he's specifically now saying to voters, we're seeing that shift in what that turnout is looking like in the state of Virginia.
Absolutely, and I mean, in the last few months, we've seen many aspects with this specific, school debate, whether it be looking at Loudoun County or it be looking at the protests that happened in New York City from parents, against the school boards wanting more to do with their children's education.
Absolutely. And we also saw tonight before we had the updated votes coming in, McAuliffe saying that once the polls closed, he didn't seem too enthusiastic. He said that the polls had closed and the votes were in, and that he was going to see what was going to be happening for him as he continued on into the rest of the results tonight in Virginia.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. This race has been, for weeks, something that people are going to say is going to be super close, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing, around in the high 80s of that percentage of the vote put in. But honestly, I don't think we'll even know until it's close to 100% who is going to be the next governor of Virginia.
Absolutely. And even, we see on social media and on Twitter and even here in the CitrusTV newsroom, the excitement and the disbelief about some of the results coming in right now. And earlier today, MSNBC's political analyst and the redistrict political analyst Dave Wasserman said a few hours ago that he was calling it, that it was going to be Youngkin who was going to be elected for Virginia's governor. And even now he's tweeting that this might not be a finalized decision, and instead there might be a few counties where McAuliffe can pull ahead. But right now, Youngkin is leading in places where people weren't projecting him to lead. He's having more points leading in those areas, so we'll have to see where that's going to carry him throughout the night. But as we can see right now with the results and what we're seeing on social media, this is causing this lead for Youngkin that we didn't necessarily expect going into this evening.
Absolutely. And, of course, you mentioned social media. It's something that has been utilized in, these elections in the last 10 years more than any other point in history, as it's become such a big part of getting specifically younger voters. I mean, here in Syracuse, I go on Twitter or on Instagram and I see ads for candidates like Anthony Brindisi, running here locally. So it's something that's being utilized completely by these candidates.
All right, and Tegan, I want to go back to what we were talking about with Olivia before. We now have updated results from New Jersey. It is still too close to call. Phil Murphy not leading 48.3%, and Jack Ciattarelli leading at 50.9%. Right now in New Jersey, 51% of the votes are in. Back when we brought in Olivia Maniscalco to talk to us about just over 40% of votes are in. So now we have more than half of the state reporting in for this gubernatorial election.
Yes, as we're getting more votes in, it seems that we are going to have an answer by, the end of our special, which will take place tonight at 11:30, but we're going to continually monitor this.
Absolutely, Tegan. And with that, our special at 11:30 will be happening very shortly, so be sure to tune in on Citrus TV. This is a brief update for the Talking Points live election night coverage, once again at 11:30 p.m. on Citrus.
And of course, you can follow us on our social media to keep up with all of the latest coverage tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tegan Brown.
And I'm Mariah Humiston. We'll see you at 11:30.